wow. When people like 200 years find those notes, you're gonna be like, what is this smell that was poured onto the book? What is
Yes.
it? Oh, I believe that's wine from back in that day.
I believe that is coom. What? This is coom. What is coom? Coom.
You,
Coom?
you
Coom.
that's the
Coom?
intro.
Coom.
This is the intro. I don't care.
Oh, 100%. I will make this the intro. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Cup of Joe with Joe and Joe podcast. I am your host, Joe, and with me, as always, is my wonderful co-host, Joe.
Joe,
Yes.
there are two things that you need to know.
Ooh.
One, this is an anime about clothing.
Okay.
Two, this is the horniest anime of horny animes.
I would fully agree with both of those things. Everyone, welcome back to Cup of Joe, Anime Edition, episode 37.3. I haven't said the episode title in a long time, but that's because it doesn't really matter. You can hop in on these things wherever you want to. But today, we are talking about potentially, it's not the horniest, there are hornier animes, but this is by far the horniest anime these Joes have reviewed to date. We're talking about Kill la Kill, baby!
Let's say this. There are hornier animes, but the hornier animes sacrifice, they only ride off their horniness, right? It's basically, they're known just because, wow, this was like crazy horny, like high school DxD, Darling in a Franxx, based off how you describe it. And with this, it's just kind of a factor of the story, and it just makes it better.
It is an element of the narrative, one might say.
Yeah, exactly. It's not just it's not fanfare. Is that the right term?
Fan service is I believe, the term that the weeaboos use.
Yes, it's not just fan service. This is like it's the plot, guys. Yes, it's the plot.
It's not just plot, it's plot.
I watch Kill la Kill for the plot.
I also watch Kill la Kill for the plot. Do you remember when I was first watching this sophomore year in our college dorm, and our other roommate just kind of walked out and was like, "You're watching Kill la Kill?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And they're like, "Why?" And I'm like, honestly, it's for the story. And they didn't believe me, but I still stand by that because I liked it for the story, okay?
I gotta say, I like it for the story too, but I
See?
also like it for other reasons. Like, bro, I mean, we're jumping ahead here, but look, my girl Ryuko she can come by any day. But let me tell you, my girl Satsuki in Junkets, there's not many things that I like in life more than seeing Satsuki in Junkets. That's all I gotta say.
Fascinating. Okay, so you're a Satsuki kind of guy. Interesting.
Oh, I'm a Satsuki could do bad things to me. That's all I'm saying.
I mean, she most definitely will, and you'll probably enjoy it quite a lot. Who am I kidding? But yeah, that's a great place to get started. Some of these characters, you got Satsuki, who is kind of like our main quote-unquote antagonist going forward. Oh, also, we're only talking about the first third, if that wasn't evident. So that's going to be episodes 1 through 8. So we're talking about everything from the beginning all the way up until the Naturals election, which is just a real subtle play on words right there. But again, we'll get into that later on. So, characters that we introduced to in these first 8 episodes, you have Satsuki, our main antagonist of the bunch, Ryuko, our main protagonist, her best friend Mako, you have the teacher Aikuro, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, I think I am, member of Nudista Bicha, which is, God, it's just one of the fucking craziest goddamn secret organizations I've ever fucking heard of. And then you have a bunch of other characters, like the Elite Four members between, like, Ira and Uzu and Nanon and Hoka. A lot of different characters that come in right off the bat. Not all of which we're going to be able to cover in today's episode because, again, most of the Elite Four don't really come in and play until later on. But the characters that we do get to, really connect with in this first third, I fucking love all of them.
Yeah. So, all right, this is a 2013 anime that I wanted to watch right after watching Gurren Lagann, and Joe's like, I don't know about that, man. And I'm like, what? It would be different enough. And Joe, I got to say thank you for not letting me watch this right after Gurren Lagann,
Yes.
because oh my goodness, there's carryover.
There is
so
carryover.
much.
Well, do you know why there's carryover?
No.
Oh, actually, I have. Hang on. There we go. I had to pull up the page that I had with all my notes on. By notes, I mean Google. So, this is a... Kill la Kill is made by Studio Trigger. Studio Trigger was founded by former Gainax employee... I gotta fucking pronounce this name. Hiroyuki Imaishi. Imaishi.
That sounded pretty good.
Okay, I should have stuck with the first and not tried to repronounce the last name. But either way, following his success with Gurren Lagann, he then led to the creation of Studio Trigger after he left and formed his own thing. So, Kill la Kill is basically a direct descendant of the team that had worked on Gurren Lagann, and that is so freaking evident in not only the style of action and the style of humor, but so many of the animation and the way that characters' faces are animated. It's like Studio Ghibli, where it's you see one background guy character, you've seen every background guy character in a Studio Ghibli film. You see one man face in Gurren Lagann that's not a main character. You've seen most of the students that are going to be present in Kill la Kill. It's very funny looking into these two things and being like, holy shit, is this a spiritual successor? Because it very much is.
Yeah. I had no clue about that, and like I said, so this is from 2013, and I, being a weeb, I have heard of Kill la Kill, and I just never watched it because I don't know, any of the promotional stuff that I saw, I was like, that wasn't really fitting the tone of stuff that I liked when I was in my teens, and I was like, I'll watch this eventually.
Because you were trained to become a priest, obviously.
Yes, that is, do never ejaculate. That is a sin. Come at me, exactly.
Don't come.
Yes, but we're not a philosophy channel. That's going to be the next project. But so sitting down to watch this and being like, okay, what is this really about? Because I had no clue what this was about. All I knew, the only thing I thought of when I thought of Kill la Kill is Ryuko with the blade, and I was like, oh yeah, it's the chick that's in the really sexy clothing and has a giant sword. Yeah, I had no clue what this story's about, and it's I gotta say, so far I love it. It's great. It's super enjoyable. I love the fact that it is kind of a derivative of Gurren Lagann, and kind of part of the same family, and has a lot of the Gurren Lagann isms to it. And I'm loving this thing. The characters. I mean, okay, let's you were starting with the characters. Ryuko, our main protagonist. Personality wise, I love her personality. She doesn't like to be fucked around with, but at the same time, she's a little shy. And with this movie, she's shy of her body, which is interesting. Or not movie, with the show, she's shy of her body, which you might think Joe, that's kind of a weird thing to say about an anime. Why is that a big deal? Well, as I said, there are two things you need to know, and one of those things is that this show is about clothing, specifically.
The lack thereof.
The lack thereof, and embracing your nudity. Yes, that's right. You need to be able to embrace your body for this movie. Or, fuck! For this show. And Ryuko, her growth with that embracement is really cool. So Ryuko, love her. Satsuki, I
love
really
her.
Fucking... Hold up. At first, I'm like, wow, this chick is really this is the type of chick you see in school straightening up her pencils, and she's the chick that at the end of the day, she'd be like, teacher, you forgot to give us homework. That's Satsuki Kiyuin. And, there's moments where, since we're only talking about the first 8 episodes, where I'm like, I'm like, this chick, I'm like, she is just not nice, and is almost basically a dictator, and very strange. And even though I say all this, her personality, though, just not my favorite, but her body is that's a whole different argument, Joe. There are whoever draws these women know how to draw women. That's all I gotta say. You know what I'm saying?
Thank you, Studio Trigger. Yeah, something about Satsuki that I just, because she is kind of a very much an asshole throughout like these first 8 episodes. However, especially the episode where she gets Junketsu for the first time and puts it on, it's so cool seeing how driven and ambitious she is, and it comes across as like surprisingly endearing more than anything else. Where it's to the point where it's like most of the time when you see a villain kind of like getting what they want, you're kind of like, I don't really want you to get that, and I don't want you to like fulfill your ambitions. But Satsuki, who isn't technically a full-on villain, like they're the antagonist, yes, full-on villain, not quite. But seeing them actually like kind of power up themselves, it's almost akin to like it's almost akin to like Thanos in Infinity War, where he's like slowly acquiring the Infinity Gems or Infinity Stones, sorry, in that movie. And it's like you kind of want to see it happen. Like I kind of want to see Satsuki just keep powering up and getting super strong, because then it's also cool to see how Ryuko like faces up against that sort of shit too. Like the same episode actually, where after whatchamacallit, Satsuki has acquired Junketsu and ends up fighting Ryuko. Satsuki is just significantly more powerful than Ryuko, and that's because she has that drive and ambition, and she's not ashamed of wearing Junketsu and being exposed. Like she literally has a line where she's like, if bearing my breasts for the world to see is the price I have to pay to, realize my ambitions and my dreams, then I will do it proudly. And so that's when, Ryuko realizes, she's like, oh, I've been wearing Sanketsu, but I haven't really been wearing Sanketsu. And so after that is when then she realizes, okay, gotta be proud, gotta wear my shit, and not really care that I'm kind of flashing the entire school body, but it's whatever. And then they have the bigger fight because now she's powered up and it's just fucking awesome, and it follows that same sort of philosophy that Gurren Lagann had. Not as well as Gurren Lagann, because like the entire point of Gurren Lagann was like kick out logic and do the impossible. We're gonna have some fucking badass fight scenes that are just gonna be so fucking hype you're not gonna know what to do with all the hype flowing through your bloodstream. This one has awesome moments like that, but it never quite reaches that. But again, the fight does have that little bit of like, it's like, oh yeah, just gonna inject a couple needles and be like hype into your bloodstream.
Joe, I've seen many transformation scenes as my life has gone on.
Mm-hmm.
But I gotta say, nothing. I can watch the transformation scene of Ryuko and Satsuki for years on end and never get old with it. Between the frickin' music that happens, the actual animation of like the little fibers going in and then sucking up the blood. But Joe, the best part of and I don't know if I'm just a horny piece of shit for noticing this, but the transformation of when like everything, like when their clothing actually goes on and like I'm trying to think how to say it, when the suspenders like snap down and like cover her breast, and then like the skirt like whips. There's something there's something in that moment that does something to me that nothing has ever done before.
I wonder why.
It's just literally the whole and then I'm like, oh yeah, that's the stuff. Oh, more of that. Oh my god.
Joe, I think we're discovering together, surprisingly, more things about you than I think any of us ever realized we would discover about you. And I love that we're doing this together as a couple,
Wow. There's something special about that snap, and yeah, transformation scenes in this is fucking awesome. But that's enough of talking about the two baddies, and not baddies in the sense of they're bad people, but in like, damn girl. How about Mako?
Mako, Mako is interesting. I got a few things to say about Mako. I love that she is the friend character. Or I love her as the friend character, and that she is very much very loyal to Ryuko. That stuff is great. But she also has what I like to call the Mako stroke scenes, where
Oh, classic.
yes, where what should we call it? It will be a series of very fast, very
Another one.
bless you. I said never do that again. I'm gonna find another fucking JoJo. Not JoJo. That's a different anime. I'm gonna find another Joe, comma
And it's
Joe,
a rabbit.
period. And yes, that as well. Fuck off, Hitler! Bang! My brain is flying all over the place. Just like these Mako scenes. See what we did there? That right what we did there was essentially what these Mako scenes are, except speeded up about 1,000%. They're super fast and very comedic, and very exaggerated. And so I remember when I first watched this show, like how long? 2 years ago. I remember being like, yeah, okay, that's kind of funny. Watching them now, I'm very much like, I could just cut, like, I'd be fine if you took these out. I don't really care about them that much. Like, they kind of agitate me a little bit. I'm very, like, it's so fast and so insane. I'm just like, stop it. I don't like it.
Yeah, Mako is fucking wild, man. Mako, I have mixed feelings towards, but the Mankanshoku family in them of themselves are amazing. Love them as a family. I love Ryuko's relationship with them and how she joins the family. So I would say I'd put Mako is I'm indifferent. Mankanshoku family, thumbs up.
It's a solid thumbs up from one Joe. Yeah, the rest of them I like a lot. The mother is very cool. The dad and the brother are very funny.
And then Guts.
And Guts. I think Guts is probably my favorite family member. I fucking love Guts. He's so funny. And the fact that he just is, the fact that a dog gets horny over a human girl is, that's a sentence that just came out of my mouth. And I don't know how I feel about that, Joe. I don't know how I feel about any of that.
Look, man, Joe, another thing to put in mind is I was planning on watching this anime just like in my living room, because
Ooh.
I had no clue what it was about. And I watched the first episode in the basement, and I'm like, yeah, I'm probably gonna stay down here for a while.
Yeah, that's probably a good idea. I'm just gonna stay in the basement. That's a good idea.
Okay, two more characters I want to talk about. So I have him in my mind as Mikisugi, the teacher.
Yeah, okay.
So he, especially in these first 8, you don't learn too much. He's just like this undercover teacher for this anti-life fiber force called Nudist Beach. And yeah, he's just this undercover dude who is kind of like teaching Ryuko about life fibers and how to control senkets. But besides that, we don't learn too much about him. He's the one that quote-unquote introduces Ryuko to senkets when she goes to visit the old ruins of her house, and he pulls like the trapdoor thing. So we don't know too much about him at this point. But the other person that I absolutely love is Kinagase, a.k.a. Mohawk Man, a.k.a. There's 2 things I need to tell you. There's 2 things that you need to know. Oh my god, when that's literally the first thing he says as his introduction, and I'm like, well, I know who my favorite character is.
And he's got his needle gun that just does like the weird acupuncture bullshit to stop everyone from moving. It's really cool. And then he's like the rocket launches too. Mohawk Man has just got so many cool gadgets and things like that. And I don't want to talk too much about stuff that happens later in the series, but I'm just excited to see and discuss some of the stuff that happens with him later on too. I'm just like, fuck yeah, it's just so much fun. But yeah, those 2 Nudist Beach guys, they're really fun. And again, in these first 8 episodes, we don't get too much about Nudist Beach. So it's still somewhat of an enigma. We don't really know all that much about them, like what their real, like we know what their real goal is, but like the implications of that real goal and how far reaching that shit goes. It goes places, let me tell you.
Yeah, so One thing that we've been spending a lot of time talking about characters, and one thing I want to talk about is these life fibers.
Yeah.
First 8 episodes, again, you don't learn too much. You just know they're kind of a thing, and life fibers are what make up the Goku uniforms, which are what the people at I actually forget the school's name.
Honoji Academy.
Yes, Hanoji Academy is what they wear, or you can wear. You have to acquire them. And it gives you like superpowers, and the more stars on them, the more powerful they are. And they're made out of these things called life fibers. And you don't really get like an explanation of what life fibers are. They're just these things that give you powers. You can build them in the clothes. A 1-star uniform has 10% life fibers, 2-star 20%, 3-star 30, and so on. But
So on.
Senketsu, which is a kamoi, I'm not sure. if
Something
I'm
like
saying
that,
it
yeah.
right, is what Ryuko wears, and he is he's sentient, at least to Ryuko he is, and he is made out of 100% life fibers.
Nani?
Yeah, and no human should be able to withstand that, but Ryuko is. And then the same goes for
badass bitch, baby.
yeah, and the same thing goes for Junketsu, which is Satsuki's kamoi. But in the first 8 episodes, we are not sure if Junketsu also has some form of intelligence, or the eyes open up and it has some form of like relationship with Satsuki, but up until this point, there's no like form of communication or anything like that. So that's kind of what's, I guess, the physics of the story and how they get their powers. Like you're kind of told like, okay, this is how they're getting their powers, but we're not telling you the mechanism. We're just giving you like the actual like theory of how it all works.
Yeah, here's the thing. We're not really going to explain it, so just have fun with this thing and just see how it works in the world right now, which is fine, because again, this is episode 1 through 8. We're still setting some stuff up, and it's just like, this is really like the first third of everything, Act 1, so it's like, it's fine that we don't quite know. And then, potentially, maybe, hypothetically, that some of the stuff will get revealed a little bit later on. I'm not saying anything, but I'm saying things, just I'm not saying anything.
So there's I know we said before this, so we were going to talk about specific episodes. We were just talking about this kind of as a first third of the show, but there is one episode I really want to talk about, and it's the Fight Club episode.
Yes.
Just because I think this did such a good job. Like it got real meta real quick with that episode, where it's like making a comment, basically making a social commentary on the wealth and inequality and how basically money doesn't equal happiness. And I loved having Mako end up getting a Goku uniform. I thought that was so freaking cool. And her fighting Ryuko, like one of my favorite episodes, definitely has been 7. Really, really enjoyed that. It reminded me back in the day of like Joey having the dual Yugi so he could win money for Battle City to get Mai her vision back. So cool. And I really like, yeah, I just wanted to know, do you like episode 7 a lot, or was that kind of just me? Like, because I love that thing.
Yeah, no, episode 7, I definitely know. Like, it always sticks out in my brain. It was the episode that I remembered the most going back into this. I was always like, when's the episode going to come back where the family become rich fuckers? Because I was definitely like, yeah, that's a pretty good one. At least it sticks out in my head. And I do have one note for that episode, and it's just that it makes capitalism look so sad. Because as they progress, and again, the social commentary coming back in, as they become, wealthier and a higher power status, they all kind of like go off and do their own thing. And so Ryuko gets very sad because she misses having the family dinners with everyone and sitting down and everyone being crazy and acting like a family. And as the power and wealth accumulate, they all scatter to their four corners and become greedy and, all that other sort of crap. And it does have a very powerful, one of the more powerful fights where you have Ryuko trying to stop Mako from beating the crap out of her, and then eventually powering down completely and just letting Mako beat the shit out of her before Mako finally realizes, this is fucked up. Why isn't anyone stopping me? My family's a bunch of assholes. I'm gonna completely wreck this uniform, and then we're gonna go home, and live in our poverty again, but we're going to be a happier family for it. And so just seeing that sort of stuff, I'm always like, it's a fucking good contained episode right there.
Yeah, definitely one of my favorites. The only other, I guess, episode I really want to talk about is 8, because it's setting everything up for this for the second third of this show, which, I mean, Gurren Lagann was specifically split up in the parts, based off the episodes, but this, not intentionally, but episode 8 is really a good spot to kind of like break it apart, because this is where the quote unquote election happens, which is the dumbest thing ever. Like, what? I was like, really? You're gonna call this election? I'm like, I feel like this is kind of like they're trying to like mimic, like, I don't know, like China or Russia or like some communist country where it's like, we're gonna hold an election, let the people choose, and then it's just the people who already have power and money are gonna be the ones that are gonna win.
Yeah, pretty much. But it's also like the reason they call it's the naturals election. It's very much a play on natural selection. So, you know, we got that going for it. And while episode 8 is, I don't think it's titled that, but it's what sets that up and brings it, or like the idea into the show. And then it's like, okay, after episode 8 though, the real naturals, I have to pause every time I say that because otherwise it just sounds like I'm saying natural selection. Naturals election is really going to start to kick into high gear, because that's when we get the fucking Elite Four battle with all, like, or Ryuko is fighting all the different members of the Elite Four, and so that stuff, ooh baby, I'm ready for some good ass fights coming up.
They also completely ripped that off of Pokemon with the Elite Four. Like, what the fuck?
100%. 100%. But, you know, it's fine. There's also an Iron Man and a Hulk toy present in the first episode. I don't know if you picked that up, Joe.
Nope.
Like, one of the very first shots in the first episode, like, the classroom, there's a kid. I don't think it's exact, but it's very similar.
Yep,
you see on the desk an Iron Man and a Hulk, and I was just like, hey, I saw that. I see it. So I found that like a nice little funny thing. One more thing that I just want to talk to you about. Joe, what did you think about this OP?
Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh boy. So, I'm trying again. Spoiler alert, everyone. I'm almost done this show at this point. I'm speeding through it. So, the opening changes as time goes on. I enjoy it. I listened to it all the way the first time, and I really enjoyed it. But it wasn't one of those that stuck with me to the point where I wanted to listen to it every time. I skipped the intro, I'd say, after the first episode. I think I enjoyed the closing song actually a little bit more in this first 8 episodes, but nothing bad to say. Like I said, I enjoyed both. It didn't tickle my fancy as other things do.
In the show, you mean?
Yes, I'm talking about Satsuki.
Of course. Yeah, no, I really love this OP personally. It's one of like the only anime openings that I still have in my like my Spotify rotations, whatever thing. So I just want to see what your opinion on that was, and so now I know it's not bad, but it's not.
I did Shazam one of the. It wasn't the opening. It was a song in the middle of one of the shows. I think it was in the middle of an Elite Four fight. And I've had that on my playlist now. So,
ooh.
Yeah, maybe I'll send that to you or something because
all right, yeah,
it's a pretty cool song.
Alrighty, but yeah. So needless to say, there's some fucking bangers in this show. So if anything, listen to the soundtrack. It's pretty fucking good. All right. Do you have anything else that you want to talk about for these first 8 episodes?
Nope. Only thing I want to say is that the song is called "Light Your Heart Up" by Hiroyuki Sawano. I'm gonna send it to you right now, and no, I'm excited to talk about the second part of Kill la Kill next week. I will have finished the whole show by then, and this is an anime, man. It's I feel like we we did a lot of laughing in this episode, talking about the characters and stuff, but I feel like it's really in the second part where the story starts to just go on a full-on roller coaster.
Yeah, the plot really kicks in this second part. instead of it being more episodic, it's going to start to be a little bit more serialized, which is something that I always enjoy. So, with that being said, everyone, be sure to leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe, so you come back, or so you get the notification for the next part, which will be coming up next week. We'll be going through episode 9 through 16 of Kill la Kill, the horniest anime we have reviewed to date. Will we review a hornier anime than this? I mean, probably. We're a couple of 20-something-year-old guys with too much time on our hands. Enter the Stick song.
The hentai review will arrive. I had to talk to some of the other higher-up Joes, but it's in the works, ladies and gentlemen. It is in the works.
For a later time. But with that being said, everyone, we'll love you, we'll leave you, and goodbye.